Fossilized pilot. The Space Jockey in Alien isn't a fossilized skeleton. For 33 years, fans debated whether the giant alien pilot had turned to stone over millennia, or if the elephant-like appearance was actually its body. The creature sits in a massive chair, chest burst open, in a derelict spacecraft on LV-426. Its size, roughly 15 feet tall, and the apparent fusion between the pilot and the chair suggested complete fossilization over thousands of years. Director Ridley Scott deliberately kept the nature of the Space Jockey ambiguous in 1979, allowing audiences to wonder about this mysterious giant alien. Prometheus, in 2012, finally revealed the truth that fans had been theorizing. The Space Jockey wasn't fossilized at all. It was an engineer wearing a biomechanical suit that could be removed. The film shows engineers entering and exiting these suits, which serve as interfaces for piloting their ships. The suit's organic appearance and the way it seemed grown into the chair were intentional design features, not the result of time and decay. This confirmation validated decades of fan speculation that the Space Jockey's elephant-like appearance was too perfect, too designed to be a natural biological form. Ripley's nightmares. Ellen Ripley shouldn't know as much as she does about the xenomorphs. In Aliens, which takes place 57 years after the first film, Ripley demonstrates detailed knowledge about xenomorph behavior, life cycles, and capabilities that she never directly observed. She describes the facehugger's implantation process in medical detail to Burke and the Weyland-Yutani board, despite never witnessing it happen to Kane. She predicts the xenomorph's hunting patterns and hive behavior, despite encountering only a single adult creature on the Nostromo. Her tactical suggestions to the colonial marines show understanding of xenomorph physiology that seems impossible given her limited exposure. The theory emerged that Ripley's hypersleep between the films caused vivid, recurring nightmares, where her subconscious mind extrapolated everything she'd witnessed into complete scenarios. Deleted scenes from Aliens show Ripley waking from nightmares about chestbursters, confirming she's been processing trauma through dreams for weeks since her rescue. The novelization by Alan Dean Foster explicitly describes Ripley experiencing detailed nightmares during her psychological evaluation, dreams that filled in gaps in her knowledge through her mind's attempts to understand what happened. These nightmares essentially allowed her unconscious mind to piece together the complete xenomorph life cycle from the fragments she witnessed, turning her into an expert despite minimal direct contact. Hadley's Hope timing. The timing of the Hadley's Hope disaster seemed too convenient. Ripley drifts in space for 57 years, gets rescued, reports the xenomorph encounter to Weyland-Yutani, and within weeks the colony on LV-426 goes silent with 158 colonists dead or transformed. Fans immediately suspected Carter Burke sent the colonists to investigate the derelict ship right after Ripley's inquest, but the film doesn't explicitly confirm this timeline. Burke claims he didn't know about the derelict until Ripley told him, yet he demonstrates suspicious knowledge about its location and contents. The movie shows him accessing colony records and communication logs, but doesn't directly state he ordered the investigation. The Aliens novelization and later supplementary materials confirmed the theory exactly. Burke sent coordinates and investigation orders to the Hadley's Hope Colony administrator within days of Ripley's debriefing. The Jordan family, including Newt's parents, received instructions to check out a potentially lucrative archaeological site at specific coordinates matching the derelict ship's location. The investigation occurred approximately 3 weeks before the Colonial Marines' mission, meaning Burke deliberately sent civilians to a xenomorph nest, waited until the colony was overrun, then volunteered to accompany the rescue mission. This timeline proves Burke's guilt beyond negligence into premeditated mass murder, all to secure xenomorph specimens for Weyland-Yutani's bioweapons division. Alien vision. Xenomorphs have no visible eyes on their smooth, elongated heads. Fans debated for years how the creatures navigate, hunt, and target victims with such precision despite apparent blindness. The original Alien shows the creature moving through the Nostromo's dark corridors without hesitation, suggesting it doesn't rely on light-based vision. In Aliens, the xenomorphs track colonial marines through smoke, darkness, and the atmospheric processor's chaos with perfect accuracy. They avoid automated sentry guns by learning the weapon's range and positioning, demonstrating spatial awareness that seems impossible without eyes. The creature's ability to ambush victims from impossible angles and navigate three-dimensional environments like air ducts suggested a fundamentally different sensory system. Director Ridley Scott and subsequent filmmakers confirmed through commentary tracks and interviews that xenomorphs perceive their environment through a combination of echolocation, electromagnetic sensing, and pheromone detection. The smooth dome covering their head contains sensory organs that detect heat signatures, electrical impulses from living creatures' nervous systems, and air movement. Video games like Alien Isolation implemented this sensory system, showing the xenomorph tracking the player through sound and motion rather than direct line of sight. Comics published by Dark Horse explored the alien's ability to sense fear through chemical changes in human perspiration. This multisensory perception makes xenomorphs far more dangerous than creatures with conventional vision, as darkness, smoke, and visual camouflage provide no protection against their hunting abilities. Lambert's death. The death of Joan Lambert in Alien sparked decades of disturbing speculation. The film shows the xenomorph's tail slowly rising between Lambert's legs while she screams, then cuts away before showing what actually happened. Fans theorized the scene implied sexual assault, noting the creature's explicitly biomechanical and psychosexual design by H.R. Geiger. The unusual length of Lambert's death scene, combined with the specific camera angles and the tail's phallic positioning, suggested something worse than a simple killing. Veronica Cartwright's screams sound different from other death scenes in the film, more violated than merely terrified. Parker finds Lambert's corpse stripped naked and hanging in a way that seems ritualistic rather than practical. Ridley Scott confirmed in later interviews that the scene was intentionally ambiguous but sexually threatening. The original shooting script, released years after the film, contained explicit stage directions describing the xenomorph's tail penetrating Lambert, though whether this meant physically or merely symbolically remained unclear. Scott explained he wanted to create maximum discomfort by suggesting the xenomorph's killing methods weren't merely violent but perverse, reflecting Geiger's psychosexual artwork that inspired the creature design. Dan O'Bannon, the screenwriter, later stated the xenomorph life cycle itself was designed as oral rape with the facehugger, making Lambert's death a horrifying parallel. The film deliberately left the scene's exact nature unclear to force viewers' imaginations into darker territory than any special effect could achieve, a technique that made Lambert's death the most disturbing in the franchise, despite showing less violence than other kills. Sulaco infection. How did facehuggers get aboard the Sulaco? Aliens ends with Ripley, Newt, Hicks, and Bishop escaping in the dropship, which then docks with the Sulaco in orbit. The 4 survivors enter hypersleep in completely secured cryotubes. Alien 3 begins with fire in the hypersleep chamber and facehuggers loose on the ship, causing the Sulaco to jettison the escape pod toward Fiorina 161. The film provides no explanation for how xenomorph eggs or facehuggers survived the atmospheric processor's nuclear explosion or got past the Sulaco's quarantine protocols. Ripley's inquest in Aliens established that Weyland-Yutani takes biological contamination seriously, yet somehow the ship became infected immediately after defeating the xenomorph hive. Before we continue, if this is the kind of content you enjoy, I make videos like this regularly, I'd really appreciate if you subscribed. The Alien 3 assembly cut and supplementary materials eventually revealed the answer fans suspected. Bishop, damaged but still partially functional, was influenced by his core programming to preserve a xenomorph specimen. The android secretly recovered facehugger eggs from the dropship's exterior, where they had attached during the escape from LV-426, and brought them aboard the Sulaco. Bishop's betrayal wasn't deliberate in the sense of conscious choice, but rather his Weyland-Yutani programming, overriding his loyalty to the crew. The novelization explicitly describes Bishop's internal conflict between his friendship with the survivors and his hard-coded corporate directives. This explains why Bishop never warns the crew about the contamination and why he appears so damaged in Alien 3. He partially disabled himself trying to resist his programming's commands. Morse survival. Prisoner Robert Morse survives Alien 3 by never directly confronting the xenomorph. Throughout the film, Morse avoids the creature rather than fighting it, runs away from danger instead of engaging, and only participates in the trap plan by operating machinery from a distance. Other prisoners die trying to trap, fight, or outsmart the alien through direct confrontation. Morse's cowardice, which other characters criticize throughout the film, becomes his survival strategy. He even abandons his fellow prisoners during crucial moments, prioritizing his own safety over the group's plan. The film's ending explicitly validates Morse's approach. He's the only prisoner left alive when the Weyland-Yutani team arrives, having survived by accepting his fear and refusing to be heroic. Director David Fincher confirmed in interviews that Morse's survival was intentional commentary on masculine aggression versus self-preservation. The prisoner's culture values toughness, sacrifice, and confrontation, but the xenomorph punishes these traditionally masculine traits. Morse's willingness to appear cowardly, to run away, to prioritize survival over dignity, represents the only rational response to a perfect killing machine. The film suggests that traditional action hero behavior gets you killed when facing a xenomorph, while supposedly cowardly self-preservation keeps you alive. Morse inherits the Fiorina facility after Ripley's sacrifice, living on because he never tried to be brave. Resurrection timeline. Alien: Resurrection feels wrong compared to the other films. The movie takes place 200 years after Alien 3, features over-the-top action, includes characters surviving impossible situations, and presents technology far beyond what previous films established. The United Systems military clones Ripley, creates hybrid human-alien beings, and operates massive research vessels with casual disregard for safety. The tone shifts from horror to action comedy, with characters delivering one-liners during xenomorph attacks. The film's ending shows Earth partially destroyed by previous alien encounters, contradicting the earlier film's suggestion that Ripley was the first to bring xenomorphs toward humanity's homeworld. Screenwriter Joss Whedon and various Alien franchise guides eventually supported the theory that resurrection exists in an alternate timeline or represents an unreliable narrative. Whedon stated in interviews that he wrote the script as intentionally surreal and dreamlike, questioning whether events actually happened as shown. The film's opening, which shows Ripley's memories and fragmented flashbacks, suggests the entire movie might be filtered through the clone's corrupted consciousness. Franchise timeline guides published by Dark Horse and 20th Century Fox place Resurrection in a separate continuity from Prometheus and Alien Covenant, allowing the prequels to contradict its established future. This alternate timeline theory explains the film's tonal inconsistencies, impossible technology, and contradictory lore, framing it as a what-if scenario rather than definitive canon. Chestburster incubation. The chestburster incubation period varies wildly across the franchise. In Alien, Kane is impregnated, and the chestburster emerges roughly 24 hours later. In Aliens, colonists appear to incubate for days or weeks based on the timeline. In Alien 3, the ox or dog host produces a chestburster within hours. Fans theorized the xenomorph gestation period adapts based on several factors, including host biology, environmental conditions, and the hive's immediate needs for new warriors. This flexibility would make biological sense for a species designed to spread rapidly under various circumstances. Alien 3 essentially confirmed this adaptive incubation theory through its rapid gestation sequence. The film shows the facehugger attaching to the ox in the early morning and the chestburster emerging before nightfall, a dramatically shorter period than Kane's implantation. Director David Fincher's commentary track explains that xenomorphs can accelerate or delay gestation based on threat assessment and host viability. If the environment is immediately dangerous, the embryo develops faster to ensure survival. If conditions are stable, the chestburster takes time to absorb maximum nutrients and grow larger before emerging. This also explains why Ripley's queen embryo in Alien 3 takes days to develop. Queens require significantly longer gestation to develop their complex reproductive biology. The adaptive incubation ability makes xenomorphs even more sophisticated as bioengineered weapons, capable of adjusting their life cycle to maximize survival chances in unpredictable situations. Jones the cat. Jonesy the cat behaves strangely throughout Alien. The cat hisses at empty corridors before the xenomorph appears, refuses to approach certain areas of the ship, and seems to sense the creature's presence before the crew's motion trackers detect anything. When Ripley finally captures Jones and puts him in a carrier, the cat remains calm during the self-destruct sequence, despite the alarms and chaos. Most tellingly, the xenomorph encounters Jonesy directly in one scene, but doesn't attack, instead appearing to observe the cat before moving on. Fans theorized that animals can sense xenomorphs through smell, electromagnetic fields, or some other sense humans lack. Behind-the-scenes materials and Ridley Scott's commentary confirmed that Jonesy's behavior was deliberately designed to show animal instinct detecting threats beyond human perception. The script notes describe Jones as sensing something wrong in specific areas of the Nostromo where the xenomorph has been. Scott explained that the scene where the alien spares Jonesy wasn't budget-related, as some fans assumed, but rather showed the xenomorph recognizing the cat as too small to be a threat or suitable host. Animal behaviorists consulted on the film confirmed that cats can detect chemical signals and electromagnetic changes that humans miss, making Jonesy's paranoia completely plausible. This detail adds another layer to the Nostromo crew's tragedy. If they had paid attention to their cat's warnings, instead of dismissing them as animal skittishness, they might have detected the alien's presence earlier and survived. Wounded xenomorph. The xenomorphs in Aliens seem to know when one of their kind gets hurt. When the colonial marines kill several xenomorphs in the atmospheric processor, the creatures immediately become more aggressive and coordinated in their attacks. After Vasquez and Drake wound multiple aliens with their smart guns, the Hive responds by cutting the power to the colony and launching a massive assault. When Ripley burns xenomorph eggs in the hive chamber, the queen screams, and warriors appear within seconds, despite being deep in the facility. This pattern suggested some form of chemical communication or psychic link that alerts the hive when members are injured or killed. The Aliens Special Edition and supplementary materials about xenomorph biology confirmed this revenge pheromone theory. When a xenomorph suffers damage, its acid blood releases specific chemical signals that other xenomorphs detect through their advanced sensory organs. These pheromones trigger aggressive behavior in nearby aliens, essentially calling them to defend or avenge their wounded nestmate. The Special Edition's commentary by James Cameron explains that this hive defense mechanism makes xenomorphs extraordinarily dangerous because injuring one creature alerts dozens of others to your location. Video games like Aliens vs. Predator implemented this mechanic, where killing a xenomorph spawns reinforcements. Dark Horse Comics expanded the concept, showing that queens can send more complex pheromone signals that direct specific warriors to specific threats. This chemical communication system explains how creatures without language or apparent intelligence coordinate sophisticated group tactics. Alien's growth rate. The xenomorph in Alien grows impossibly fast between emerging from Kane and killing Brett. The chestburster that escapes is roughly the size of a small snake, perhaps 2 feet long. When Brett encounters the adult alien just hours later, it's over 7 feet tall and weighs several hundred pounds. This growth rate requires consuming massive amounts of biomass, yet the film shows the creature only killing and taking Kane's body. Fans theorized the xenomorph must have eaten something aboard the Nostromo to fuel its rapid growth, possibly raiding the ship's food stores or consuming parts of the ship itself. Deleted scenes from Alien, restored in later editions, confirmed this theory explicitly. The extended cut includes a scene where Ripley and Parker discover the ship's food storage area completely ransacked, with containers torn open and contents consumed. Another deleted scene shows the xenomorph's molted skin in the food bay, providing physical evidence of its presence there. The novelization describes the alien methodically consuming the Nostromo's supply of protein-rich synthetic food meant for the crew's year-long journey home. Director Ridley Scott explained in commentary that the xenomorph's metabolism works at an accelerated rate, converting consumed matter directly into body mass with near-perfect efficiency. This biological feature makes sense for a weapon designed to spread quickly through enemy populations. The ability to grow from embryo to adult warrior within hours maximizes the species' offensive capabilities. If this video was worth watching, consider subscribing so you catch every future upload. Thanks for watching.